Good evening, I'm Esther Githui. You at it's Friday, July 12th. This is Africa 54. A South African right-wing Conservative Party gains prominence in the country's parliamentary elections to the dismay of many. Scientists seek to find when humans actually started migrating from Africa. And in our entertainment report, we'll take you to Zimbabwe, where one couple is helping educate neighborhood youths by offering free music and dance instruction. South Africa's Freedom Front Plus party, whose aim is to establish a white homeland in this majority black country, surprised political observers by winning 10 parliamentary seats in the May elections. That result has vaulted the party to prominence for the first time, and it highlights how extremists are easing into the mainstream of South African politics. Here's VOA's Anita Powell.
White nationalism has long lurked on the fringes of South African life, with far-right groups who say they feel their culture is under threat in this multiracial country.
Who's the victim? It's the white people. End of story.
But as the last national election showed, far-right white nationalism is moving into the mainstream and into the government. The Freedom Front Plus party surprised many by winning 2.4% of the vote in the May elections. That gave the party an all-time high 10 seats in the 400-member National Assembly. The party's aim is to create a homeland for the nation's mostly white Afrikaans-speaking minority, who are descendants of Dutch settlers 4 centuries ago. Party leader Peter Groenewald told VOA that the threat to Afrikaans speakers is a pressing priority for him.
At this moment, Afrikaners are under threat. I mean, the ANC government is blaming actually the white people of South Africa for all the problems that is happening. We are in the process of expropriation without compensation of our properties. They always blame the white people. The narrative in South African politics is that the white people have stolen the land.
But analysts argue South Africa's narrative and concepts of identity have changed radically since the end of apartheid in 1994. Critics say Afrikaner rights groups are reading from an outdated text, which places whites at the top of the social structure.
It appears that they are not being able to let go of that historical supremacy. The reason I'm saying this is not because I'm totally against what they are doing, but they have not reformulated a sense of identity. If being an Afrikaner in 1970s, it is the same as being an Afrikaner in 2019, we're in trouble then.
In recent years, figures in the far-left economic freedom fighters, the opposition Democratic Alliance, and the ruling African National Congress have also used race to stir supporters. The EFF has been especially strident, demanding that key economic sectors be nationalized and controlled by blacks, similar to what Robert Mugabe tried to do in Zimbabwe.
It's a clear indication of the emergence of extremism in South Africa's politics. It is actually Freedom Front Plus. Their performance is a symptom of the body politics of South Africa. It is actually how South Africa's body politics work. It is how other parties are well positioned.
Groenewald says his immediate goals are not extreme, but says among them is to end race-based affirmative action in South Africa. Anita Powell, VOA News, Klerksdorp, South Africa.
Sudanese security forces say they have foiled an attempted overthrow of the nation's military leadership, according to a spokesman for Sudan's ruling military council. Security forces say they are now pursuing additional officers who participated in plotting the derailed military coup. Lieutenant General Gamal Omar said in a statement that at least 16 officers, including the renegade leader, are under arrest after the council thwarted the coup on Thursday. Omar says the attempted coup came at a critical time ahead of the agreement with the pro-democracy coalition group Forces for Declaration of Freedom and Change. The military and the alliance agreed last week on a joint sovereign council that will run the government for 3 years while elections are being organized. The emerging deal follows the military's ouster of former President Omar al-Bashir in April after 2 weeks of pro-democracy demonstrations. Now, anthropologists know that humans migrated to Europe out of Africa thousands of years ago, but it's been hard to get a firm date on when and how, or even why. Now, thanks to new technology, some old bones may help scientists narrow down the when of human migration. Faith Lapidus narrates this report from VOA's Kevin Enox.
These skull fragments were discovered in the 1970s in Apodima Cave in southern Greece. But only now, thanks to new imaging technology, anthropologists like Katerina Harvati can finally reconstruct the skulls they came from.
It was not so easy to study their anatomy properly without having a thorough reconstruction, and this type of reconstruction became only possible in the last few years with the advent of virtual anthropology techniques.
And the story the skulls tell is all about when humans first stepped out of Africa and into Europe. One of the skulls is of one of our closest ancestors, Neanderthal man.
The dates that were obtained were actually extremely interesting and surprising, because for Apidma II, the Neanderthal, we confirmed the previous date. We obtained a very similar age of 170,000 years before present.
But Harvati says the other skull is clearly us, Homo sapiens.
But Apidma I, the Homo sapiens specimen, this turned out to be much older and to be approximately 210,000 years before present.
And that predates other evidence of humans moving into Europe by about 16,000 years.
It seems that this early expansion was actually earlier than we originally thought, and that it reached all the way into the European continent, which we did not suspect before.
Not everyone agrees with the study's conclusion, but if it turns out to be correct, it not only pushes back the date that humans first entered Europe, it also raises questions about what happened to those earliest Europeans. For Kevin Enox, Faith Lapidus, VOA News.
Courses in Islamic studies are being offered at many U.S. colleges and universities. And it's not just Muslims signing up for those classes, as VOA's Ali Orokzai notes in this report, narrated here by Bezan Hamdard.
Northern Virginia Community College outside Washington, D.C. began offering classes in Islamic studies in 2002 after the September 11 attacks. Professor Dawood Nassimi says since then there has been a growing interest in these courses among non-Muslims.
Non-Muslims, when they hear about Islam, especially when they are affected by the media, when media talks about Islam in a negative way, some of them, they say, well, I just became curious. I want to know what this religion is all about. How come this religion, encourages so much negativity or so much, fighting or terrorism or violence? They become curious and they want to take this course.
Comments by students taking Islamic studies courses bear this out.
I took this class so that I could become more knowledgeable about Islam and not just listen to the media and how it just paints Islam in like a bad picture. And then I've also made like new Muslim friends in that class who also like help me understand the concepts and like the traditions better.
Well, before high school, I had no knowledge of the religion whatsoever, but then I started to make a lot of Muslim friends throughout high school, and it was just being around them, being around their families. I always had respect for the culture, but I wanted to gain a deeper understanding of it.
As part of the class syllabus, students are sent to a local mosque to observe how Muslims pray and practice Islam.
My experience today was very interesting. I'm not used to everybody having their single prayer, because I'm from a church, so we all pray together.
Coming to mosque today, I've learned that Muslims are not like people who are like private to themselves, like they reach out to the communities and non-Muslim communities.
The last prayer of the day is Isha.
Leading a presentation about Islamic prayers, the mosque's imam stresses the importance for people to educate themselves about different religions.
The message for everyone here is that this is a mosque and it is for everyone. Followers of other religions are also welcome here.
For Ali Orokzai in Annandale, Virginia, Bejan Hamdard, VOA News.
It's time for our Africa Cup of Nations update, so let's head to Egypt, where Africa 54 sports reporter Sandy Shomari is standing by in Cairo. Good evening, Sandy. Tell us about Team Madagascar's Cinderella tournament run and what really happened to the Ivory Coast team. How are soccer analysts reacting?
Esther, it's a Friday right here in Egypt, and it's rest day for today, waiting for the semi-finals, Esther. And as you said, the Cinderella run finally has come to an end for the best team from Madagascar. But let me tell you, Esther, they're leaving going home with their heads held high because their performance, no matter what it was, they have left a mark and history has been made in AFCON 2019. But on the other hand, Esther, the Elephants of Ivory Coast are going home with their heads down. They wanted to do more than they could last night, but it didn't happen, and they lost on penalty kicks. And Esther, the captain of that team, Sere Die, decided from now he's going to quit international football playing for the national team after he missed his last penalty shootout that led the team to be out of this competition. So tonight, Esther, analysts are talking about things do happen because most people thought Algeria, since they had the 2015 with Ivory Coast, the Ivory Coast won that game in 2015, they thought they could have done it again last night, but it could never happen. And as you know, right now Algeria has the greatest defense, only conceded 1 goal so far, Esther, so it's considered one of the greatest teams to meet in this AFCON 2019, followed by Egypt, although Egypt is already ousted, Esther. So it is interesting encounter that we are ready for the now semi-finals.
All right, Sandy, like you said, we're heading to the semi-finals now. Give us a brief outlook on who is going to be on this team of this coveted stage.
Esther, the semi-finals are already set, and they will start on July 14. This is going to be on Sunday. Sunday in this country is just like a Monday. Today is off, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, back to work. So on Sunday we have Nigeria, the Super Eagles, facing Algeria, the Desert Foxes. It's going to be a very interesting encounter. See if the Super Eagles can break that wall of steel in the Algerian side, the Desert Foxes. On the other hand, another game the same day, Esther, will be against the Lions of Teranga, Senegal. They will play Tunisia, the Carthage Eagles. This is going to be another interesting game. And Senegal is led by the superstar Sadio Mane, who says this time around, Esther, he wants to make sure they get this cup. Because in history, all these other teams have become champions before. Nigeria 3 times, Tunisia and Algeria once, but Senegal has never, ever had the chance to become a champion. So this time around, Senegal is trying to make sure they make history by going home with this cup. But is that going to happen? We will know after the 90 minutes, Esther, of nice game of football, interesting and well played. Looking forward to that, Esther.
So who is giving us dinner tonight in Egypt? Who is celebrating? Who is cooking what food? Very briefly, Sunday. It's Friday.
Yes, I'll tell you, Friday is like a Sunday here. Things are very well. Dinner is available all over the corner. Shawarma, if you know the food here, very common. And also people are smoking shisha all over the place and watching the games. So it's interesting dinner tonight.
Okay, you go have some dinner, Sunday. We'll chat on Monday. Thank you so much. All right, it's always great speaking with you, Sandy. As you know, Africa 54 sports guru Sandy Shomari reporting live from Cairo. We're excited to hear what you think about Africa 54. Join the discussion on Facebook. The address is Africa 54. We're also streaming our broadcast live on Facebook. Please watch and share our show with your friends. Also check out our headlines 24/7 on voaafrica.com. Still to come, a female producer from Uganda gets recognized at this year's African Film Festival in Dallas, Texas. We'll be back.
I am Sheikh Asali, host and senior editor of VOA's international call-in talk show, Straight Talk Africa.
Today we'll examine the tobacco industry.
We pretty much touch on anything that you can think of. Politics, health issues, human rights issues, you name it, we talk about it. The issues that we discuss are pertinent to most people on the African continent. A very, very rare and unique opportunity to interact with their leaders.
The lyrics could be French,
English,
Portuguese,
Bantu,
Arabic.
It is the beat.
The African beat that counts.
The beat does all the translations.
It cuts across all languages and gives us the understanding that this is the African beat.
It is so distinct
and adhesive.
It binds us together.
African Beat on the Voice of America. For more information, visit our website at www.voanews.com/AfricanBeat.
An Italian court has ruled that an Eritrean man extradited from Sudan in 2016 was the victim of mistaken identity and dismissed allegations that he was a ruthless human trafficking kingpin. However, the judges on Friday ruled that the man identified in court as Medanie Yedego Mered was still guilty of abetting people smuggling and sentenced him to 5 years in prison. Mered has already spent 3 years behind bars, and the court says he could be freed. The verdict represents a setback to both Italian and British investigators who worked together to secure Mered's arrest, and the man they say is notorious Eritrean smuggler nicknamed the General. Both countries hailed his capture at this time as a rare victory in the battle against human trafficking. Now, U.S. rhythm and blues singer R. Kelly is once again behind bars after being indicted on federal sex crimes and obstruction of justice. Kelly, who is already facing sexual abuse charges, was taken into custody Thursday night. The 52-year-old Grammy winner, whose real name is Robert Kelly, continues to face mounting legal troubles after the American Lifetime Network aired a documentary called Surviving R. Kelly, which revisited allegations of sexual abuse against girls. It's time for our entertainment report, and joining us now is Africa 54's entertainment reporter, Heather Maxwell. Take it away, Heather.
Thanks, Esther. The African film industry has made tremendous changes in recent years, with more women writing, producing, and directing films. One female producer from Uganda was among the talent recognized at this year's African Film Festival in Dallas, Texas. VOA's Nkamiti Kibayasi was on the red carpet and has our report.
Claire Nampala from Kampala is an actress, producer, and writer of the film The Forbidden. The film tells the story of Diane, an African girl who grew up with a single mother. Diane later found her father after her mother passed away, and he ended up sexually abusing her. Claire took home the Best Screenplay Award at the festival, where she talked about why producing this film was important to her.
This is a true story. It is based on a true story, and having came across with some of the victims, it inspired me, and I really got so touched. I really wanted to talk about the story so that most of the people get to know why they shouldn't hide the truth from their children.
Claire also discussed how every female artist can create empowering stories, but those stories can't be shared until women come forward.
What I believe in, everyone has a story to tell. They shouldn't leave them behind. They should speak them out. There are so many women out there who have been harassed sexually, and I believe if they come up and share it somewhere, somehow, they can be helped.
The main character from The Forbidden, Leila Nakabira, won the Best Actress award for her role in the film. The elated actress revealed what humbling experience it was for her. Leila added it was not easy to act and deliver in a way that would touch people's life.
You lied to me that you had never seen any man, that you were a virgin.
I first read the story, and I understood the story, and the story actually has a relationship with what people go through in Africa, most especially in Africa, because it's about HIV and a girl child sexual harassment. It is very rampant in Africa. So I felt like I should really be part of such a script, be part of the movie. So I felt it feels really great.
Additional awards at the African Film Festival went to the short film Path Breakers for Best Documentary, and 94 Terra took home Best Costume. Mkamiti Kibayasi, VOA, Washington, D.C.
Being a Tutsi had then become something not to say out loud. But we are horrified by everything.
This week, we're featuring a story of how one couple, Jacob Mafuleni and Martha Tom, help educate neighborhood youths by offering free music and dance instruction in their home. I recently visited their home, also known as Tsoro Arts Center in Harare. The teachers and students show off their mbira and marimba skills.
We are going to play the instrument, Zimbabwean instrument called mbira. We use this instrument to communicate with our God, which we call Musikavanu. We play using our thumbs. As you can see, this is our residential place, but we had to turn it to be an art center because we wanted to teach our community what we do, what we know about the Zimbabwean culture, Zimbabwean music. So, yeah, we just decided to turn it into art center.
Started with the boys only, but now we have girls who are interested to learn how to play marimba, mbira, dance, and they really love it. They appreciate it, and we are teaching them for free.
This thing is now like growing. We didn't think it's gonna grow like what it is right now. But
How many students do you have?
We have 23 kids, totally all and all. And then we have ages between 6 and 11. And then we have a teenager group, which is between 14 and 17. And then we also have a women's band, all women.
Are you in the women's band? Of course. Of course, yes.
What inspired me to make these instruments here, that was after our tour in 2008 when we toured the USA with a mbira outfit. And you know, when we get there, I was surprised to see a lot of Americans playing marimba and mbiras, and that was a shock to me. Like, there is a lot of groups who are doing Zimbabwean music in the States. So when I came back here, I was like, you know what? At the end, we're gonna buy these mbiras coming from the States, or buying these marimbas coming from the States. I need to do something for the community. I need to do something so that this type of music keeps growing, keeps existing here in Zimbabwe. So that's when I started to think of making marimbas and mbiras at a higher level.
And that's our Music Makers Report for this Friday. For more Music Time in Africa, be sure to listen to my hour-long radio program live or online Saturdays and Sundays on FM and on shortwave, or listen online anytime at voanews.com and just search for Music Time in Africa. And please follow me on YouTube. I have a YouTube channel, also on Twitter at Music Time Africa, Instagram at MTIA Maxwell, and Facebook at Music Time in Africa. Esther, back to you.
I want a piece of that music. I want to learn how to play, and I want to dance like that. What else did you leave out of the editing?
Well, you know, there was so much more dancing and playing by those groups and other groups, younger kids. They all wanted to show off what they could do. We just had a whole afternoon there of mostly music making. So I had to leave, unfortunately, a lot of that out.
I want to go to Zimbabwe just to learn that. I love it.
It's wonderful.
Oh,
it's good physical exercise. You can express yourself creatively. It's just amazing.
I know you're going to do that right after the show.
I'll show you after.
Heather, you are amazing. Thank you so much. Heather, that was very refreshing music today. Join Heather Maxwell again next Friday for another fantastic entertainment report right here on Africa 54. And that's our show for today. Be sure to watch Africa 54 on our website at voaafrica.com. From all of us here in Washington, have a great weekend.